Hey everyone, my name is Robert Guzman. I'm here at Studio DMI, and today I'm going to give you a brief overview of DS Audio's newest update to its craziest plugin, Tantra 2. So let's get started. Basically, Tantra 2 allows you to design rhythmic movement or groove and sonically reshape whatever signal is being passed through the plugin. It also gives you the option to bypass the modulator altogether right here and use it solely as an effects rack, which is a super cool feature too. So while we're talking about that, let's talk about the user interface really quick. It's really simple. It's made up of 4 sections. So you've got the top bar right here. This is where you can access the different settings, factory presets, the user manual, but also you have access to cool features like the playback speed, which lets you change the overall speed, either faster or slower, of the sound that you have. You have the layer section, which are 2 independent stereo channels, which we will come back to later when we get to the mastering section. And then the routing section, which this basically just allows you to change the signal path of the incoming signal and how it would be processed as it comes through. And then below the top bar section is the layer effects section, which is where the meat of Tantra 2 really is. This is the section that processes the audio in response to your modulations that trigger the rhythmic pulsations or the movement of your sounds. These 6 different modules give you seemingly endless options when it comes to working and sound designing with Tantra. So up first, you've got an extremely high quality analog molded multi-mode filter. Then after that, you've got a multi-stage circuit model distortion, a crazy dimension bending delay that gives you an easy way to give you some rhythmic decaying echoes, a powerful lo-fi effect which almost acts like a bit crusher to add some harshness and grit to your overall sound, a flanger for some wideness, and then probably the most creative and unpredictable module in Tantra is the glitch effect. Each of these modules has about 4 to 6 parameters that you can fine-tune to help you achieve the sound you're looking for. Or if you're feeling adventurous, at the top left of the plugins, there's a little dice function that when you click, essentially randomizes all of the parameters on the plugin. And if you're feeling really adventurous, on the top right of the overall plugin, there's another dice that's big that globally randomizes the parameters of all of the modules. And I just love that about that plugin. It's one of my favorite things about this. The only thing that the global dice function does not randomize is the routing of the overall plugin, which you can find here at the top bar, and then the master and modulation matrix at the bottom. Then after that, you have the modulator section, which in my opinion is the heart and soul of this plugin. The modulators generate modulation signals that define the rhythmic patterns applied to the output sound. So there are 8 modulators which generate these complex 32-step envelopes with adjustable shapes and different operating modes. The modulators are presented in the GUI with 8 tabs right here, and you can use the tab switch to access the settings of each of the 8 modulators. The modulators, though, operate in 2 different modes. The first is steps, and in this mode, the modulator produces a series of steps with adjustable levels. And then the second mode is curve, where the generated modulation signal is a set of variable slopes and curves. After the modulator section, you have the modulation matrix. The matrix features 24 modulation slots to maintain all modulation assignments in Tantra. You can use the modulation matrix page to manage all of the assignments. In order to access the modulation matrix, however, click the matrix button here. Each slot in the matrix is used to define the link between modulation source and modulation target. Click the source or destination text field to access the menu, when you can select available modulation source and destinations respectively. You can also click the source or destination text field to access the menu, where you can select available modulation sources and destinations respectively. You can also use the depth control to adjust the modulation depth, and also bypass switch to enable or disable the matrix slot as a whole. And then after the modulation matrix is the master section, which acts as the final stage of processing for the plugin. So the output signal from the layer effects is passed through the equalizer, then the reverb, and then the master output in order to form the final output mix. With the 3-band equalizer, you can adjust the frequencies of the sound before it hits the output. The reverb effect is used to add a dimension to your sounds. And sometimes when your sound is processed by something like a transgate, it can kind of lose its depth. So in those cases, you can add the reverb at the end to kind of bring back that ambient space. The volume sliders and pan text fields right here control the level and the stereo position of the output sound respectively. The mix knobs here adjust the balance between the wet and dry signals of the mix, and in order to prevent clipping, the master output provides a clipper. But just like everything else in this plugin, if you don't need it, go ahead and bypass it. And lastly, you can use the master switch to turn on and off the audio processing in the plugin. So when it's bypassed, the unprocessed sound is heard, or the original signal, and you can turn it on to kind of A/B the processed and unprocessed versions of the sound that you're working on. So yeah, there you have it. That's my brief overview of the Tantra 2 plugin. I really love this thing. It's so powerful. It's so unique. And if you want to learn more or want to dig a little deeper, go ahead and check out Luca Pretolesi's full demo up now.